All right, you know, we're out here fishing grass edges in places where these fish are trying to group up for the summertime. Really just a deal you can do all year long from springtime to the fall when the fish transition to the shad or whatever bait fish you technically have in your area. This is something that I love to do. You know, you hear about a chatterbait, you hear about a spinnerbait, but one thing that one of my favorite techniques, sort of in between them both, is throwing a high HD bladed swim bait hook. So I have one of my swim baits, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rig this up. When you're trying to do something a little bit different, you know, when you can't throw a jig-headed swim bait through the grass, you can throw this little dude and really work it through there, and it gives it a little bit different action than really any other, you know, type of bait out there. You got a little blade on him. It's almost like a swim bait spinnerbait deal. So now I have a 3/8 ounce one and I have a quarter, so if I'm fishing shallower, I'll pick up this quarter, and then if I'm fishing a little bit deeper on this grass, then I'll pick up the 3/8. Pretty common sense. I like this technique for just the fact that I have that screw lock locked into my swim bait, where it's not going anywhere. I can get a decent amount of bites out of one particular swim bait. Ooh, that one bit it on the fall. Gosh, we smoked it. Pretty nice one too. Spot lock real quick here. Might be a few of them there. Perfect. That's what I've noticed, how many fish bite this thing on the fall. That's a pretty nice one right there, y'all. Ooh, buddy. That's what you get with that swim bait, though. Come here. There you go. Choked it, chowed, and that's what you get. You bit that sucker. I mean, that is not going anywhere. That hook, that's why I love throwing a single hook too, because that sucker is not, like, you cannot, that's right there is what you want. Good quality fish. Heck yeah. Let's see if we can get another bite. You know, I get a lot of bites on the fall for any swim bait for that matter, but definitely with that bladed swim bait hook, because I feel like it just looks like a dying bait fish. But I think that's one of the biggest things with swim bait fishing in general, is when you cast out there, make another cast out there real quick, as that bait's falling, you know, it's paddling down, that blade's turning. So what I'll do is, as I make my initial, you know, start reeling them in, I'll let him fall about halfway back to the boat and let him go back down to the bottom. Those fish, a lot of times, I've caught so many fish with a jig head with this particular setup where I let it fall back down to the bottom. There he is. Pretty nice one. Yeah, that's what's up. Chunky one too. Choked it. Think you wanted it? Oh man, you are not coming off. The cool thing about this though too is you don't have to set the hook right away. It is a soft plastic bait. So unlike, you know, a crankbait or vibrating jig, a lot of times I won't set the hook for a little while. I'll let that fish load up, reel down, crack, get them pretty good. And it's definitely the key, can be the key of having a good hookup ratio on that particular setup. See you later, buddy. This technique has really gotten popular over the last 4 or 5 years. It's been a tournament winning technique. It really has been. Caught a lot of fish from smallmouth to spotted bass to largemouth on him. The thing is though, because you do have, you know, this is a weedless technique and you have to Texas rig him most of the time, you really have to drive that hook home. So that's why I try to at least have a 7.3 to a 7.6, a heavy to a medium heavy. You can throw a medium heavy with braid, because you know, really the braid and the stretch doesn't really helps out quite a bit. Now the one thing I will do is sometimes I'll just keep him exposed a little bit like that. When I'm around a lot of grass, I don't really need to bury him really in there, because that's gonna hurt your hookup ratio. So if I feel like, I'll go to the top of the bait a lot of times and just barely expose him, just a little bit like that, just barely. And then when I set the hook, it pops right out and hooks him really good. So that's what I try to do, and it's helped me with hookup ratio. Or you could just put it down there in that little groove, just like that. You don't even need to expose him. You just put him right down there in that little groove and keep him straight. For me, I don't try to really, the worst thing you can do with this bait is really push a lot of plastic over that hook point, because you'll end up missing a lot of fish. Oop. There he is, on the fall. Crappie. Hey, don't sleep on the old crappie rig. Gosh dang slab, son. Hey, I might be a bass fisherman, but I love crappie fishing too. That's the first on that deal. That's a pretty dang big crappie. Post spawner too. Whew, skinny. That's a big one. That's like a 13 and a half inch crappie. Okay, one thing that's really cool about this technique is how versatile it really is. This is a technique that I've picked up over the last 3-4 years. And I really didn't think that a little blade like that would make that much of a difference. It's you know, a regular like weedless swimbait hook, it's good, but adding that little bit of flash just seems like, it's like a little mini Alabama rig. Obviously an Alabama rig has a lot more baits on it, has a lot more flash, but that's what it's like. It's like, it seems like when you can take a bait and make it look like there's more than one bait fish or presence there, it seems like it gets the bass's attention a little bit easier and you get more bites on it. So that's really what I've noticed. I can fish it in grass, I can fish it around heavy cover, and ooh, that one smoked it. Gosh, dang. That one, ooh. All right, buddy boy. That's the big thing, is you're able to fish it in so much of pads, grass, standing timber, wood of any kind. It really allows you to make and throw this bait, and it comes in a lot of different weights and sizes. You know, you can get a 3/8 ounce one that you can fish. I fished it out in 20 foot of water, fishing over brush piles that I didn't want to get hung up in, and I fished it up north in 2 foot of water. You know, just reeling around just little pencil grass and stuff. So it's a super versatile technique, but it does seem to just get bit sometimes better than others. Again, there is no magic bait, magic technique. There's times that you'll figure out the bait that they're eating that given day. And this is one that I just definitely have in my arsenal. There's times when they're gonna bite him better than about anything out in your tackle.